All right, so this situation with Khabib in Russia has gotten very serious, apparently. I just did a bunch of research based on the story that came out today about more of his stuff getting seized by the Russian government. We had his gym get raided by the federal authorities last week after the attack in Dagestan. There's a lot going on here. Like, I didn't realize how deep this went until I started researching for this video. But we're going to go through a lot of stuff here right now. This is not going to be one of those, a lot of Jesse just talking nonsense in this video. I'm actually going to try to communicate a lot of information here because we're going to take you all the way back to 2018, 2019 when Khabib was on tremendously excellent terms with the Russian government and this sequence of events that brings us to today where he has fled the country. Like, Khabib has fled Russia, has no intentions of going back, has gotten citizenship in another country so that he can avoid being in Russia. Again, we're going to go through all of it. We're going to talk about what we know, what we don't know, and that's what we're going to do. So I wanted to just start right here, though, right? Like, just so we're putting this in perspective, this is the status that Khabib had in Russia 5 years ago. 5 years is not that long, man. I've been in Texas for 4. It feels like we just moved. So 5 years ago, this is Khabib sitting with Putin. And if you know anything about Russian politics, if you're on good terms with Putin, you are on exceptional terms with Russia. Okay. So check this out just to set the tone of where he was at very recently. So Putin saying he wanted to congratulate him on the victory. One more time on the victory. I'd like to congratulate his father on bringing up such a good fighter. Man, can you imagine how that must have felt for Abdulmanap, especially? Like, now it's so crazy. I always identify with the parents now. I just realized that I do that recently where I don't know, that guy, he must just be so proud, man. He must have been so proud. If there's any consolation to a tragic death like that, if you're trying, if I was trying to provide solace to Khabib, if I was really close with him and he was like a good friend of mine, that's all I would keep hammering, is I would be like, to try to even imagine how proud he must have been to be your father, and such like well earned. He was such a major contributing factor to the man Khabib became that I don't know. Everybody dies, and I think he died with a full heart. You know what I mean? But anyway, we don't even need to watch this whole thing. I'm sure you guys have seen it. But bottom line is, okay, not only are they meeting here, they're on great terms, but you have this story as well, okay? Where I confirmed this 2 different places, right? Where it's Vladimir Putin gave Khabib Nurmagomedov $20 million in property after the Conor McGregor fight. So the biggest box office in UFC history was lucrative for Nurmagomedov in more ways than one, according to Dana White. So it's Dana White confirming that. Habib allegedly received a life-changing phone call from Russian President Vladimir Putin in the aftermath of 229. UFC President Dana White detailed a call that took place immediately after Nurmagomedov's first UFC title defense against Conor McGregor. He didn't even make it back to his dressing room after the fight, and Putin was on the phone. White recently told Games with Names podcast. Putin gave him and his father like $20 million worth of property in Russia. Then he went into the Muslim territories where these guys are like cars, money, gyms, whatever he wanted. The alleged gifts from Putin went a long way to remedying the $500,000 Nurmagomedov was fined that evening for jumping the fence. Nurmagomedov was penalized for leaping into the crowd post-fight and brawling with McGregor's teammate, Dylan Dennis. It's so crazy that Dylan Dennis is in this story, man. It's like, he trolled his way into an international incident, dude. The chaos spilled over in the cage, swept up McGregor, Nurmagomedov, so on and so forth. So, listen, dude. But this is also very important here too, right? Like this article sets the tone that Khabib is connected with some very powerful people, right? Because here you go. Also, Nurmagomedov is no stranger to rubbing shoulders with powerful people in Russia. He was once gifted a Mercedes by Putin's ally and Chechen dictator Ramzan Kadyrov. The majority of Nurmagomedov's training camps were also reported funded by Russian oligarch Zayevdin, sorry, I can't pronounce that, Magomedov. What you could take away from this is that Khabib was connected all over the place in the highest places in Russia, right? Like the highest places in Russia. As we're going to look at later, though, this guy that they mentioned, this guy has an interesting history, though. Now, I'm about to tell you about some interesting research about this guy, but some other research I did is I found out that 40% of you still have not subscribed to the channel. I would appreciate it very much if you would do that. It makes a huge difference for me. It's not a big deal for you, but like I said, very helpful to the channel, and I work really hard. I would appreciate it if you guys would do that. And like the video, and then especially in this case, not just like, tell me what you think about this case, because there's a lot of information coming in. I'm very curious what everybody thinks about it. Now, this is really important right here, because when you look into Magomedov and you keep in mind that he is cited all over the place as an ally of Khabib, all over the place, like all over the place. He was with Khabib, Abdulmanap, all of that. So this guy is a big time billionaire in Russia who had political favor with the Putin regime, so on and so forth, etc. If I got into the details of this entire story, it would take up the entire video. But what you need to understand is that he fell out of favor and he was arrested for corruption charges, somehow related to a super yacht that Vladimir Putin got, whatever. Bottom line is, this guy was doing what I would assume most Russian oligarchs are doing, but they prosecuted him for it. They seized $13 billion of his money and is now being distributed all over the place. He has been sentenced to 19 years in prison. Okay. He got sentenced to an obscene amount of time, right? They appealed the conviction and the courts reduced it by 6 months. So it went from 19 years to 18 years, 6 months. All right. Now, the more that you read about this, I'm not saying the guy's innocent or guilty or whatever. I don't know anything about Russian politics. What I do know is that this has political prosecution all over it. That's like the entire story is about how, it's like, a group of powerful like Putin insiders became enemies with this guy. And so they're putting him in jail, seizing all of his assets. And they are, essentially like seizing his power. Right. And this is a guy who had been with Khabib and Abdulmanap from the very beginning. And so as we get into the next parts of these stories, you got to go, let me just make sure I understand this. So this guy was one of the most powerful people in Russia, right? Like this dude is one of the most powerful people in Russia, and now he's sitting in prison, right? And he's someone who was a funder of the gym and a funder of what they were doing. And now Khabib went from one of the most celebrated people in the country to now he's fled the country and has no intentions of coming back. And they've seized all of his assets, seized his bank accounts, all that. It's like, I don't know. It just like there's no way to know if that's what's behind this, but it seems like a very, very likely scenario as we'll get into it. But you also have the terrorist attack and all kinds of other stuff. All right, so this is just another article confirming the $20 million in property, right? So then, a couple months ago, we had this thing happen. So May 21st, 2024. Is when we first heard that Khabib had a tax problem over there. Or at least that's how it was presented. Like Khabib has a tax problem and they seized his companies. If you guys remember that. It was like he seized his companies because he owed what equated to, I believe, like $3.3 million in back taxes to the Russian government. And I remember when I saw that, the first thing I thought is I was like, I don't understand. Why would they come after a guy like Khabib? He's like a national treasure. Like that just seems so bizarre to me. I'm like, I wonder what happened. I wonder what happened. I literally didn't even have any theories. I mean, I'll tell you what my one theory certainly was not, right? Was definitely not that Khabib owes back taxes. And this is like just it's just, oh yeah, Khabib tried to duck taxes. That's probably what's going on. I'm like, there has to be more going on here because it's Russia, But obviously that was the first time that Conor weighed in, and then he got into it with Ali Abdelaziz. And I wanted to cover that part specifically because I got into a conversation with a couple guys recently about Conor, Ali, guys like these that I want to go over after I kind of go through this. All right. So Conor said, I don't know. I can't remember exactly what Conor said. Something, Conor gloated about Khabib, about Khabib's tax situation. And Ali responded, you keep talking about Khabib. You forgot what happened to you and your team. Be careful what you wish for because none of you guys are safe if you keep talking. So between this comment and one related to Conor in one of these cases he's dealing with, I've had like multiple conversations with people about this where I don't understand why people discount this kind of thing when it comes to Ali or it comes to like Conor, right? Like these guys are serious guys, you know. Like I'll tell you exactly what I was talking about, who I was talking to about it when it came to Conor. I was talking about Red Pill, you know. Red Pill, go check out his YouTube channel. When he was doing the story about Conor and the cases and all that stuff, and he's like, you know, I don't know, man. Like, do you think that I should be worried? I'm like, yes, 100% you should be worried. Like, you live in Ireland. I could do a video about Conor, not really have to worry about it. You live in Ireland, dude. You understand who Conor's with? Like, you understand who his crew is? Who his friends are? You just did a story about this. He's dialed in with literally the top international crime syndicate in Ireland. One of the top guy, the Kinahan guy, is one of the most powerful gangsters in the world. These are his boys. These are his people. And we're talking about witnesses who got their houses firebombed or had like, you know, oh, this woman, someone broke into her house and stabbed her husband, whether that had anything to do with Conor or not. You know, he has his new restaurant firebombed. Like, dude, Conor can touch you. Conor will touch guys. I mean, just bottom line. You look at him, most people like see celebrity and they're like, oh, dude, it's all talk. No, it's not. No, it's not. If you think just because you know who a person is, that means they don't have resources where like they're way more dangerous than you give them credit for, you're out of your mind. You're just wrong. I heard a story about Andrew Tate sending 2 cars full of people to somebody who was yapping, and a bunch of Eastern Europeans showed up at the guy's place. Like, and he's like, you know what I mean? Like Andrew Tate's, I mean, I guess that shouldn't shock anyone. But Ali Abdelaziz, you think Ali's friends with Hamzat Gadirov? It's not like, we're not talking about like 2 actors in Hollywood. These guys have fucking resources. They're just like, I just bring it up because like when people think about this stuff and you read it, it's like if you're interested in this stuff, you should at least understand what you're looking at. You think Ali can't touch you? I mean, I don't think he would necessarily, like, you know, one of us or anything, or any, like, obviously. But you think Ali can't get to you? You think Conor can't get to you? You think that any of these guys, this is gangster shit. This is like international gangster shit we're talking about. Anyway, moving on. So this is a story that I saw like today, you know, because I was just looking at the story and I found this. It's like, oh, so Khabib has, because I saw a thing that said Khabib has no intentions of coming back to Russia. And I was like, whoa, he's like on the run. So I found that this happened right after the tax thing. Let's see, this is also, this is May 21st of this year. And, you know, Khabib escaped Russia after owing $3 million in taxes. And so Khabib Nurmagomedov obtained a United Arab Emirates citizenship, according to Russian journalists. And he has no intentions of coming back. So according to multiple reports from Russian journalists, Khabib, keep in mind, this is all before the terrorist attacks happened in Dagestan. You know, like this is all before all of that. And then his gym gets raided. Like this is, it's actually insane that all of this is going on. So according to multiple reports from Russian journalists, Khabib Nurmagomedov has obtained UAE citizenship, likely for tax purposes. The reports state that Khabib is facing allegations from the Russian Federal Tax Service of owing over 300 million rubles, which is 3.3 million, due to discrepancies in his business expenses. This led to a comprehensive audit of numerous ventures, including the freezing of accounts of some of his companies like Eagle FC. Amid these tax controversies in Russia, Russian journalists claim that Khabib has acquired UAE citizenship. The UAE is known to grant citizenship to individuals with exceptional talents, which would apply to Khabib's martial arts prowess and success in MMA, obviously. This allows Khabib to avoid paying taxes in Russia, as residents of the UAE do not pay income tax. Man, what's up, dude? Hey, you want to know who else is talented, dog? Me. Anyway, I can just move to Puerto Rico, though. This move is seen as a significant shift for the former UFC champion and is likely motivated by the tax issues, whatever. But Khabib's team has denied allegations of tax debt. The reports from Russia's yada yada yada. So, whatever. This is mostly about the taxes, but in the story now where they seize his assets, that they're like, he's not coming back. Okay. So this is where the things got really serious recently, right? So while I was in Mexico, the story about the terrorist attacks happened, and actually I'm going to show you guys a video that covers this, right? And it also covers some stuff about Khabib and that's what it's about. So we'll look at that too. But as you guys know, there was a bunch of terrorists who went and shot up a bunch of synagogues and churches. Very gnarly attack. We don't need to go over it. You guys all know they burned them down. 22. It ended up being 22 people got killed altogether. A lot of them cops, and then religious leaders in the buildings and so on and so forth. So, one of the things people are like, why hasn't Khabib, I'm sorry. Pretty important detail. One of the gunmen had trained at Khabib's gym for some period of time. It's like Khabib condemned the attacks very clearly. I posted on Instagram about it. He didn't mince any words. He completely condemned the attacks, and he straight up completely distanced himself from the guy. He's like, dude, this guy has nothing to do with us. He trained with us for a couple months, like 5 years ago. But then they raided his gym, right? And so this is a video that was done that kind of covers a lot of this stuff related to the attacks, and then also the gym getting raided. So we're going to watch that, and then we're going to move on to what happened today.
What's up, you guys? So we have some breaking news coming out of Dagestan, Russia, where Khabib's gym is currently being raided by Russian security forces. So I thought I'd make this video with some of the quick research that I did to keep you all informed and ahead of any of the bullshit that's probably going to spread all over social media today. So it looks like on Sunday, June 23rd, gunmen launched a coordinated attack on churches and synagogues across 2 cities in Dagestan, which is a predominantly Muslim republic in Russia's southern region. Since the attack on Sunday, it looks like 5 of the gunmen have been killed. Among them was Gazi Murad Kagarov, who trained at Eagles MMA. A lot of you probably aren't familiar with him, but he was a 6-foot lightweight who was 2-0, and he last fought in 2021.
So he last fought in 2021, which means highly likely that's the last time they saw him, right? Like, if he was training, why would he not be fighting?
So he hasn't been active. But according to TASS, at least 8 police officers were killed, with more than 27 others sustaining injuries. On June 25th, the Moscow Times published an article stating that at least 15 police officers and 5 civilians, including a priest, were killed in these coordinated attacks. But it wasn't until
yeah, and I talked about this in my live stream. The way they killed that priest is, not that you need more reason to hate, like people who would do a thing like that, but they slit that guy's throat. A priest who had been a priest in that church for 40 fucking years, dude. 40 years. Okay. Picture a 67-year-old man who's spent the last 40 years as a religious leader, and that's how he went out. A bunch of fucking fanatics. Pin him down, hold him still, take away his ability to, take his arms away and cut his throat. That's how he went out. And they bled him. So if these guys think that, in whatever world they live in, whatever, in their mind, they're all, if I do this, I get to go to whatever place in the afterlife. I don't think so, dude. I don't think so. I think you have been misled. If you think that is what gets you there, no, I disagree with you. Slit a priest's throat. I don't think that's going to send you anywhere good.
Today, June 28th, that the Russian security forces raided Eagles MMA and Makchakala. Investigations are currently underway at the school because Kagarov was
It's Mahashkala.
member of Eagles MMA, and apparently security forces have identified 3 fighters from the school who had close contact with him. Now, of course, Conor McGregor had...
All right, so the report is that there were fighters who had close contact with him. So if that's why they raided, they're like, oh, we're raiding to circle the wagons and see who knows who. I guess that's understandable, right? There have not been any conversations that connect Khabib personally to this or any of these guys. Now, this guy's going to talk about something in a second about, I actually alluded to this a little bit in one of my videos. This guy did this whole thing that was like meant to tie Islam Makhachev to extremist stuff. But what he covers in here is doesn't do that at all. Like, I looked at it, I'm like, this is, you remember, I'll tell you exactly what it's like. Remember when people can, like, on 4chan convinced the world that the OK sign was white power? Like, they trolled everybody. They're all, hey, this means white power. And it was the OK sign. That's one of the funniest trolls ever. Not actually, Pepe the Frog is the funniest one. The Pepe the Frog means white supremacy. That's the funniest troll in the history of the world. But that's what this sounds like to me. You'll see what I mean in a second.
Had a lot to say on social media. As you all know, he's been consistently accusing Khabib, his manager Ali, and that camp of many wrongdoings for quite some time, but we'll save all that for another video. However, it is worth noting that according to an update shared on X by James Perazo, the FSB has announced through Dagestani media that all Dagestani MMA gyms are being investigated and inspected for religious extremist elements. So expect this not to be a timid campaign.
Okay, so given that, all right, so given that the FSB announced through the media that they are investigating all Dagestani MMA gyms, well, that exonerates Khabib from this thing right there, right? At the very least, maybe it doesn't exonerate him on its own, but it takes away any idea that, like, Khabib's gym is being raided because they had specific connection to the terrorist attacks. You know what I mean? Like, if they raided everyone, Khabib happens to own one of the gyms. That doesn't mean that they're targeting his. We already know there was a guy who trained there a long time ago, but Khabib immediately condemned the guy.
And I also want to make it very clear that Khabib has condemned these attacks and he clarified his associations with Kagarov. So they're not staying quiet about it and they're not going to let the narrative be written on their behalf. Now, I'm not too...
Yeah, like I said, I posted on Instagram about that immediately and pointed that out because I saw a bunch of people, why can't Khabib condemn the attacks? I'm like, he did. He literally did immediately, like firmly. There was no I don't know. He didn't mince any words, So this is what I'm talking about right here. Okay. So this I don't know who this James Perazo guy is, but listen to this connection that he made. This is how he's connecting Islam Makhachev to extremist Muslim whatever.
Too sure who Perazo is, but he has made some interesting tweets in the past with Islam, Khabib, and extremist groups. So we'll see what comes of all this. But all I know is
okay, so I'm sorry, he didn't even go over it. Let me rewind. This is what his conclusion is in this right here, okay? It says the one finger in the air sign was brought back to life by ISIS in 2013, quickly spreading across the Sunni world. Okay? So this, all right, hey, we're number one. They're all, look at that. Look at that. Islam Makhachev supports ISIS. You're all, you understand that 100% of fighters tonight have held up one finger, like every single one of them. That's pretty standard procedure. Okay. I don't know anything about Islam Makhachev other than that if that is your evidence, you better beef that up a little bit, dude. You know what I mean? And it says, all this says, undisputedly a longtime friend of the terrorists. How is that undisputed? Who said that? That's the opposite of what Khabib said. Islam is always with Khabib. Khabib said the exact opposite of that. So I don't know. And you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so I just want to make sure that I've captured your position on this. And look, dude, I don't live in Dagestan. I don't know anything. What I do know is when people present bullshit as like, oh, see, look. I'm like, that tells us nothing, dude. All you've done is hurt your own credibility. So what you've got is a dude who says this undisputedly, that he's a long-term friend of Islam Makhachev. And you're like, well, I know Islam Makhachev is with Khabib literally 100% of the time. And Khabib said the exact opposite. Where are you getting your information? Okay, you don't have any sources on that. And then to assess that one, he's all, well, also, everybody knows ISIS throws up the one finger, and look at that. So did Islam. It's like, oh, weird. Hey, so did Michael Bisping. Look at Michael Bisping threw up one finger right there. Is he supporting ISIS or no? Look at, hey, look, Jesse's with ISIS, dude. So fucking dumb. Anyway, so now let's continue.
Field day. All of this, though, it did make me curious to research some more around Eagles MMA, and to be honest, I learned a lot. And a lot of that is thanks to Kareem Zidane of Sports Politico. Now, according to Kareem, Eagles MMA was founded by a jailed Dagestani oligarch named Ziavuddin Magomedov.
That's the guy we talked about.
Magomedov supported several Dagestani fighters financially, including Khabib, at one point. But when he and his brother were arrested in one of the highest profile Russian embezzlement prosecutions in 2018, that marked the first time that Eagles MMA was involved in criminal.
Okay, first of all, look at this dude. This guy must have been such a boss when he was on top. Look at him. He's like 6'4", young, good-looking billionaire in Russia. This guy probably slayed so much ass, dude. Just saying.
Profile Russian embezzlement prosecutions in 2018. That marked the first time that Eagles MMA was involved in criminal activity. Unfortunately, though, that wouldn't be the last. Another took place in 2018, which we won't get into right now. But according to this article, it looks like many Dagestani athletes are falling under the influence of extremists in training camps when they go pray. The article even brought light to some alleged concerning choices Khabib has made in the past, including when he was seen shaking hands with an Olympic gold medalist in freestyle wrestling who was accused of financing terrorism and a suspect in several murder cases.
Okay. Again. I don't have any idea what anybody's doing. What I do know is when someone throws something ridiculous out and then, like, it's like, oh, that is pretty concerning. You're all, wait, what happened? They're like, he shook hands with the guy who was financing terrorism. You're all, oh, he did? So who was the guy? They're all, he was an Olympic freestyle wrestler. You're all, he's an Olympic freestyle wrestler. Yeah. And Khabib shook his hand, took a picture. I mean, so do you think that maybe he shook his hand because he's an Olympic wrestler that he had maybe trained with, or you think it was the other thing? Like, I don't know, man.
Why do I bring this up? Well, I think context is important, especially living in a world where things go viral so fast and people are quick to believe things with little to no proof or research. While I'm not going to be jumping on a bandwagon of people trying to accuse wrongdoings and terrorist attacks to Khabib specifically, there is a previous history from the gym, so I'm sure more is going to come to light in the coming days. So we're going to keep you posted. In the meantime, do your own research and stay tuned. To be honest, I'm most worried about how...
Yeah, okay, so that was it. Guy did a good job. He did good research, and that's why I wanted to show you that. Now, again, I don't have any idea, like, what anybody's doing. So, like, I'm not, I have no idea. All I'm saying is that the specific things that are cited as evidence of one conclusion are not that. You know what I mean? They're just not. I mean, what I will say is, like, if you are going to go into a foreign country that has a very heavy conservative Muslim population, and you're going into a place that has a population of young, military age, violent men, you are going to find people who have some pretty serious violent beliefs that you're like, if you're not from there, you're like, oh, this guy's a potential terrorist. You know what I mean? And you'd be correct, about them. Right? Like, but that's not like rocket science. Heavy conservative, Muslim population, go into a place with violent young men. You think you're not going to find some guys who think like that? I mean, you know what I mean? I have no control over this. This is why I don't talk about Palestine, Israel. I talk about this every single time. I don't talk about this stuff because I'm smart enough to know that if I grew up in that scenario, you know what I mean? And someone in my family got killed by the other side, I might have some pretty fucking crazy ideas. And if I lived in Israel, someone killed my family, I might be down to eradicate everybody. I don't know. All I know is that I don't know it. I would just be judging people for things I would probably do myself in the exact same situation if I grew up the way they did. That's all. All right. So now, today, I'm sorry. So obviously, Conor went hard as soon as this stuff all started, like the Conor was right stuff. And then, so Khabib's bank account got seized amid concerning $3 million debt. All right. So that's today. All right. So today is Okay, I'm just going to read this to you, right? News for Khabib has gone from bad to worse as of late. On top of the controversy that surrounds him at present, he has now lost all control of his bank account. The Eagle is considered one of the greatest of all time, with many labeling him the best lightweight the sport's ever seen, and superstar worldwide and a national treasure in Russia. But now things have taken a turn for the worse. Okay, so Russian tax authorities have seized all bank accounts of Khabib due to the debt of $3 million. Okay, so I hope that he did not have the bulk of his money in those bank accounts, obviously. It is like when the government takes your money like that, when they seize it, it's hard to even explain what that feels like. And I will tell you, so this tattoo right here, boop, that is, like, it's hard to like show you, but that one, what that is right there, that is a nickel and 3 pennies. And the reason that I have that tattoo is because when Gabrielle and I got engaged, we were driving to dinner. Okay. We've been married for over 15 years, right? Like, we were driving to dinner. I went into my bank, cause I had, I had like savings and checking, and I would move money in as needed. I go to make sure that I had enough money in my checking because we were about to get like a really expensive dinner I was going to propose. I look, zero in both my accounts. Okay. Nothing. I had 8 cents in the bank. They had levied all of my money. The government had, because I hadn't filed my taxes the previous year, right? Like, it was a tax thing. So they levied all of my money, every dollar, 8 cents in the bank. And obviously I completely wigged out, I wigged out, and Gabi still agreed to marry me. And so I had 8 cents in the bank when that girl agreed to be my wife. Okay. Over 15 years ago. That's the most ride or die chick on the face of the earth, dude. But that was a very shocking moment, dude. Just to think, just the fact that they can do that in general. That's 15 years ago. Like, everybody knows they've only gotten more invasive since then. But I can only imagine what that would feel like if you were actually like wealthy and then boom, it's all gone. And it's a Russian government. Cause like what I did, I got a tax attorney. They petitioned whatever, and I got it back. It took a while, but I got it all back. And it's like, in this situation where it looks like you're getting hit from all sides, I cannot even imagine what that must feel like, dude. But yeah, and so they're saying he has he has no, where is this? So Connor, there's one right here. There's some, like, where is it? Okay, so in one of these articles, it straight up says, it's like, Khabib has no intention of returning to Russia anytime soon. So Connor has 3 words in response to reports of Khabib fearing Russia. Oh, there it is, right there. Jesus. Hey, good job, Jesse. Why don't you read the headline? Connor has 3 words in response to reports of Khabib fearing Russia return due to mounting legal troubles. So Conor McGregor has once again taken aim at Khabib, and his 3 words were scurry rat, scurry where. Oh, there we go. Scurry rat, scurry. And that's in response to Nurmagomedov issues with the Russian government extend beyond the Friday raid at the gym. The former champion caught in a web of legal problems, including tax evasion, which makes him unlikely to return to Russia anytime soon. And then Conor said that he had a broken foot when he fought Khabib. I don't know if that's true. I have no reason to think it's not true, but also, like, that fight happened a long time ago, man. Yeah, even like flexing it as a win even is kind of like, not that they would unless they were baited, but it's like, dude, 6 years ago. Like, the loss, who cares? The win, who cares? 6 fucking years ago. You know what I mean? But yeah, who knows? Conor keeps talking. He might talk his way into an Islam Makhachev fight if he God, can you imagine that, dude? I'm not talking about like the matchup itself. I'm just saying, like, you want a real blood feud now? Like, the blood feud between Khabib and Conor, then that was shallow, dude. That was like, it just started. They were like friendly, and then Conor turned on him, dolly through the window, all that stuff. That was a short-term thing. This is years now. Years of blood feud, dude. Give me that fight. Give me that fight. So basically, Conor called Khabib a terrorist. Jesus, man. So Conor went scorched earth on Khabib after his gym got raided by Russian forces following the terrorist attacks in Russia on June 23rd. I fought this little bitch-made rat with a full broken foot. I should have postponed like I did this time for what I did to his little cousin. If I had any advantage, yada, yada. Now you're fucked. When you die, I celebrate. Wow. He said, I guess I do need to actually read this. Fought this little bitch-made rat with a broken foot. I should have postponed like I'd done this time. For what I did, I give this little cousin any advantage for. He set himself on that. Oh, shit himself on that bus. Showed his true trigger. Now you're fucked. When you die, I celebrate. Jesus. That is, that's a thing to say. When you die, I celebrate. Conor is certainly not scared to start shit, man. I really, really, really want to see that fight. Obviously. Anyway, I've been talking for 30 minutes. That's what we got for now. So love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.